That's awesome.
Thunder Mifflin, this is Pam.
Pam, it's Michael. Help me. I need help right
I enjoy having breakfast in bed. I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me. And since I don't have a butler, I have to do it myself.
All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is the Osnator, and welcome back to good old wrestling. Oh my god, I haven't said that in a while. Holy shit. Somebody call the news because oh my god, Osnator's done more than one stream in a month. Oh my. So yeah, good old wrestling's back, ladies and gentlemen. We got the usual suspects. We got Shifty. We got Rome's here. What's up, fellas?
Hey,
What's up?
What up? Good old wrestling. We're gonna do something new on the show. We're gonna be covering some happenings in the news, like what's going on in the wrestling world, if you will. Like what's the big headlines, and we're gonna just discuss it a little bit because why are we here? You know what I mean? So, because we got quite a bit. This is like 2 weeks worth of news here. Actually multiple weeks of news here because we were gonna do it last week. I got the stomach bug, so unfortunately that had to get
no good.
canned. No.
That's no good.
No, it was definitely not good. It was bad. It was bad there for a while, but I thankfully I'm not gonna get into the specifics of it, but thankfully it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but it was still pretty bad.
It wasn't Ultimate Warrior getting possessed by Papa Shango bad.
No, it wasn't
No.
that bad. It wasn't the remember like a couple years ago when Randy Orton was feuding with the Fiend and like he just started vomiting black ooze everywhere.
Yeah, that was actually a callback to Papa Shango Ultimate Warrior.
It wasn't that bad either. So thankfully it was all right.
That's good.
So I think we're gonna start off a little easy tonight with the news. Basically something that's not too crazy because again it's not there's not a whole lot to talk about, and that is 2K25 announcement. I know it's everybody's groaning in their seats. Everyone's rolling their eyes, going, "Oh God, another 2K game. Oh God." Yeah, I'm like that too, guys. Don't worry. So it's not going to be long. So there's going to be an announcement in a couple weeks. I think it's going to be on the 28th. And more than likely Roman's going to be on the cover. And then there's going to be some game-changing features going on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they say this every year, and guess what, guys? Spoiler alert, nothing's very game-changing.
Well, it's mostly stuff that they've taken out like years before, and then they put it back in. It's brand new.
It's like, no, it's not brand new. We've seen it before, but it's brand new to us.
Yeah.
I mean, besides like the roster changes and maybe some updates of other wrestlers you can download or pick up from the if you have an Xbox or PlayStation, the downloadable stuff. But I mean, if they're smart, do like a WWF or WWE versus WCW Monday Night Wars game. Do something a little more creative,
Or
for
just
fans.
or just give us another All Stars at some point. I mean, that's what people's been begging for. Just give us like don't. I mean, I know they got to have a game out every year, but I mean, they can skip a 2K one year and just give us like an All Stars. They tried to do that with Battlegrounds, but they rushed Battlegrounds out before it was finished, and it got released without a ton of moves and a ton of character specific animations. Like everybody had the same move set, and because it didn't sell well and didn't pre-sell well, they never really went back and added those moves. They added all the DLC characters. They had like 3 gigantic waves of DLC characters, but they all play the same. So it got screwed in the process there.
Yeah, Battlegrounds was not very good.
I mean, yeah, I can see people saying that it had a great foundation. It just got released incomplete, so it wasn't a
Yeah.
good game.
That's kind of that was just kind of my issue with it, because like I played
Yeah,
it and I was just like, nah, there's something missing here, and then
yeah.
I just stopped playing it because it was just like it's okay.
I need a really good arcadey WWE
Hmm.
game like All Stars. All Stars was my game. I loved it. But there's too many people is stuck in a simulation mode where it needs to be serious. It needs to be exactly what they see on TV. The intros has to have every little light and every little fireworks exactly like you see it on television. And that's what gets the developers where they don't have time to actually try to do something new.
Yeah, that, and oh my god, last year's title. All right, there's like one thing I really think they need to work on this year if they're gonna keep doing it. But can they stop adding like the real life footage into the showcase? Because oh my god, it's last
It's
year's
super
showcase, the
annoying.
WrestleMania one. They dragged them out so long. Like there'd be points
Yeah.
where like I'm doing a match, like I think it was like towards the end, and then they just be laying on the ground selling. I'm like, for the love of God, can you speed it up? If I
Well,
wanted to
it's
watch
always
that,
been
I'll watch the match.
Well, it's
Hmm.
always been like that. It's always been like since they introduced that mode. If it's not recreated with in-game graphics, they cut to a video package to uh, let you relive the match, in the game. But sometimes it goes overboard.
Way too overboard. Um, and I mean, there's really nothing left to say here because there's like nothing like to talk about with 2K25 unless does anybody have a guess on who the cover star is going to be? I
I'm sure we
mean,
all
Well,
know.
well, you just said Roman Reigns.
yeah, there's nothing left to talk about. What are the game-changing new features, you may ask? Um, better graphics, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hope they fix Bret Hart's hair because they screwed it up a couple years back, and it just moves in just the weirdest way. His hair didn't really move that much. It was just always like greased up. But they got it to where it's way over animated and it throws the whole model off. I don't know. Between his video game model and him never getting a good action figure because the face scans are just horrible, I think Triple H is just he's told these companies to like, hey, could you do me a favor and not make Bret Hart look so good in these figures and video games because I really don't like the guy.
He's like, he's secretly like, guys, listen, Goldberg's going to be in the game, and we really don't. We just we need to make Goldberg look good. So we're just gonna need you to not give Bret Hart's hair some flexibility, if you know what I mean. Just
Oh, and speaking of Triple H in these video games, it was a rule back in the day. I don't know if you ever heard it, but back in the SmackDown versus Raw era, any uh, media outlet, they were forbidden to show Triple H getting beat up in screenshots, and if they did, they wouldn't get any access to review copies and stuff because Triple H was adamant that he would not be shown getting beat up by anybody on the roster or any legends in these video games.
I mean, I'd believe it.
I'm not surprised.
All right, so I feel like we started off pretty soft there. I feel like we kind of need a little bit of a heavy thing.
Wait. Did you say soft? SAWFT?
FT soft. You're right, Shifty. I did say soft.
I'm sorry for bringing those guys up, but
yeah, I kind of like yeah, you know how you get like that chill up your spine a little bit.
But you never know. Bill might end up back in the WWE because I hear he's doing well in AEW.
To be fair, I do like Big Bill, so I mean, he looks great. He looks way better now than he did in WWE. I know we're doing a little. I'm sidetracking here.
His first run, right?
Yeah, because like in his
I
first
agree.
run, he looked like okay, but like when he went to AEW, he's like it's like he looks like he ate like his previous self. Like he just looks jacked. Like he's got like that abs going on. I'm like, God damn, this man.
He ate Enzo.
He had to eat Enzo too. He ate himself and Enzo and became Big Bill.
Yep.
But speaking of AEW, speaking of talents, going back to WWE potentially, Malachi Black has seemingly departed AEW.
Well, I hear his contract isn't up until like early February, to where he's going to miss the Rumble or sometime in February.
Yeah. So I mean, to maybe also give some context. Yeah. Go ahead, Rome's.
So according to Tony Khan, who fears for his life, he claims that Malachi Black is still in the contract until 2027.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. What?
Yeah.
But he's barely used them.
Yep. This is an article I'm reading from the ringreport.com, and it's published today and this morning. They're basically saying that he's under contract until 2027, which is weird. This is what Tony Khan's saying. So,
well, I mean, he does run the company, so
yeah.
Hang on. I'm just gonna add a little. I'm just gonna fix the banner up for a second here. But just so that way nobody goes, "Oh, Austin, you said this." No, guys, listen. I'm just hearing I'm just hearing what's going on in the internet. I'm not in charge of anything.
I mean, it's like the CM Punk thing, where after CM Punk was gone, nobody knew if he fired or he was quit, and then later on we learned he was fired. So, and he was still on the contract, but they fired him. So, I think Malachi Black's hoping to do the same thing. Just fire me, if that's true.
Here, I edited it to has potentially departed it.
Yeah.
Not
I think he's. Oh, sorry, Austin.
No, you're good. So there's like a lot of stuff that he's like done over the last like year or so, where a lot of indicators are showing that he's clearly not happy there, and he's clearly ready to move on. And like. During like promos over the last couple weeks on Dynamite, it just seems like he's out of the House of Black at this point. Like he's nowhere to be seen on TV. Buddy Matthews, Julia Hart, and Brody King are apparently going to be their stable's going to be renamed. Because they think it was like the Hounds of Hell or something, or it's a new. They're basically going to do a new trio's name or a new group name that's not the House of Black. And then like a few weeks, and then like I think it was like during the match with Adam Cole, like he just like broke character and like hugged him, and it was just like really weird. So I don't know what is going on with Malachi Black, but I'm going to preface this by saying this too. AEW, when it comes to fumbling bags, Malachi Black, they fumbled hard. Like, as far as main talents go, like, he is somebody who's, like, a very unique individual. And, like, his style is, when I say unique, he's not, like, all the AEW talents there.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, Vince didn't even know what to do with him once he came up from NXT. And I actually thought that he was going to win the Royal Rumble that first year. I was hoping he would. I was like, man, he's got it. He's such a big dude on NXT, and he's coming up. He's got that awesome entrance and that awesome theme music, and he's got such a unique style and look. And they just got to be giving him like a huge push. And nothing happened. He got fired, and then he went to AEW, and then nothing happened. I mean, he had some cool promos and stuff, but nothing happened. And I don't know. Nothing happened.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Austin. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Rome's.
I mean, I think that's part of the reason why he's just, trying to get fired or refusing to come back, whatever it is. I think now that everything's changed in WWE, like some AEW stars, they want to go over there now because they see how a lot of the wrestlers are being used.
I mean, I know he probably doesn't want to go to Japan because he's married, but man, he could at least went to New Japan and did something. I mean, for these people that Tony Khan's not using, let him go to Japan. Use them. Let him, let him go to the Ring of Honor somewhere. I mean, but I don't know. It's just like who is it? Who was with Penta?
Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, he's in a similar situation, isn't he? Where they won't use him on TV and he's still under contract.
Yeah. So okay, to also add, to kind of add on to that, Shifty. Apparently his contract was supposed to run up the same time as Pentagon's, but because Tony Khan,
he was injured.
Yeah, because he was injured, Tony Khan added injury time to his contract.
Yeah.
And now he's there for like another year or so.
Oh wow.
And there's no plans for him as of now.
That's crazy. Because both those guys have such great looks. Just put them on TV. Give them something to do. They're merch movers. I mean, you go through you have your kids go through the wrestling aisle. I mean, or the figure aisle, and they see those guys compared to some generically dressed other wrestlers that they have on the roster. They're going to go for the guys with the masks and the demon makeup and stuff. I mean, that you're losing money.
Exactly.
100%. Like, I'll give WWE this. Like 24 hours before Penta debuted, like they already were like selling like Pentagon masks.
Yep.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw the quote from Jim Ross, when he was like downplaying Penta's debut, and he's like, I didn't see how it was any special. There's guys like that all over our AEW roster, and he didn't really do this and that. I don't know what WWE's thinking of making him like a big deal. And I'm like, Jim's head's not in the business anymore, because Penta, his look alone is going to sell figures and masks and everything. I know a lot of people who were saying on Twitter, they said their kids came up to him during that match saying, I want his figure. So, I mean, probably by summer, you're going to see a Penta figure on shelves.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, they had his merchandise out everywhere before his debut on Monday night.
Yeah, he's going to make a lot of money. He's the second coming of Ray.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Since we talk about that, what do you think of his match with Chad Gable?
I think it was. I mean, it was exactly what I was expecting. It was a little bit slower, and I mean, you got to get used to the ring. The WWE ring is a lot different than other places, and especially when he tried to do that leg drop on the bottom rope, because they use ropes that are loose and not like really tight cables like every other company. And he kind of, I don't want to say botched, but he didn't get the full impact of that. And a lot of people gave him crap online about that. And again, like I said, he was just filling the ring out. And I think it was a great match. I think it wasn't the best match, but I think it was a good debut for him. A lot of people saying that he has heat because he drug the match out, and the promo afterwards was drawn out a little bit, and it had them to where they had to cut some match time from some other matches, and people were pissed off about that. I don't see how that's the case, because the show ended like 25 minutes earlier than it normally would. So I think there's a lot of bullshit being spread online, but I thought it was a great debut.
Yeah, I thought it was a good debut as well. I was surprised how well he was selling some of Chad Gable's moves a little bit, because I was like, okay, he can sell, like, then after the match was over, he got his moment, being WWE and with his family and to the fans. So I was happy for him. They really made him a big deal.
I don't want to talk bad about AEW, but too often they really don't sell as much as they should in AEW. It's always like go, go, go. It's more of a luchador style. Don't sell, just perform, like flippy, get up, go, move. So it's not as dramatic it's not as dramatically as paced as WWE matches.
Yeah, because with WWE, it's Austin's gone.
Yeah, I heard him. I heard him robot out just for a second there, so he's probably. I'm sure he'll pop back in.
Yeah, but no, WWE they want to do things slower. Just articulate, just really earn those moments, and instead of just running right into them, which I get. I'm curious to see where they go next with Penta. I mean, there's a lot of things they can do with them. Hopefully, they have him in the running for like maybe Intercontinental Championship in the future. Just really get around that WrestleMania stuff too, and then show more what he can do.
Yeah. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's on the right roster though. With him and Breaker, I think he probably should be wrestling LA Knight, those guys over there on SmackDown. But
they need some
we'll
life
see.
over there. For that USA division, because it's just LA Knight, Shinsuke, and it's Andrade, and it's the same 4 or 5 people where they really need some energy there. And that's my thing with SmackDown and Raw right now. It's like, what's going on here? You had Bailey at Raw, then she goes back to SmackDown to wrestle Tiffany tonight. Then we learned that Wyatt Sticks are now over at SmackDown. So it just seems that they're just going back and forth and trying to figure out, what the roster is going to be going forward. But it just feels like everyone's bouncing back and forth.
Yep. You back, Austin?
Yeah, my internet went down. Sorry, guys.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, you got back in awful quick.
Yeah, it wasn't long, but there was a period there where I was like, oh my God, not now. Please, God, no.
Yeah, I haven't had an outage yet on this fiber. I don't know if that's a common occurrence, but I'll find out over the next few months.
Yeah, I feel like especially with like a new like provider, you definitely want to see like the ins and outs first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I'm back.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna switch gears here. Because I figured, since AEW, we talk about AEW.
Yep.
He's gone.
You good?
We'll talk a little bit more about other AEW stuff. But let's move away from AEW real quick, and let's even move away from WWE because something big. Well, actually, no, I stand corrected. It does involve AEW to an extent, but really, it doesn't have a lot to do with AEW. Well, kind of. A New Japan Pro Wrestling commentator suspended for comments.
What?
Oh my God, guys! This is gonna be controversial, guys. Ready?
Who was it?
We could get canceled here. Just want commentator named Chris Charlton. He's a commentator for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he is being forced to take a hiatus because he made some controversial remarks about AEW and Tony Khan in particular.
Oh.
So there was during the match between Kenny Omega and I believe it was Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Kingdom. Charlton referred to Tony Khan as a money mark.
Oh.
And he criticized AEW's acquisition of New Japan stars such as Okada, Will Ospreay, and Jay White, and basically just commenting how they've been treated just awful. And apparently he's been suspended for 2 months, and a lot of the backstage reactions were mixed. And apparently originally it was going to be planned to sort of feel like a storyline between like this divide between New Japan and AEW, but apparently it didn't go over well, and that AEW in particular were not pleased with said remarks, and New Japan Pro Wrestling had just suspended him. So I kind of want to get you guys' thoughts on that. Like, do you guys think like this is just kind of an almost like an overreaction on everybody's part? Because it on paper, it doesn't even sound like comments that are really that bad.
Well, I don't know if that's something you should be saying.
No.
Somebody tells you to say it. Yeah, I don't really know.
I mean, you're talking. Sorry, go ahead, Shifty.
No, you go ahead.
I mean, there's a relationship between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know if Tony Khan has a stake in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I mean, you're talking bad about a guy you're in business with, so obviously you're going to get
Yeah.
suspended.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't have much to say. I just because I don't follow AEW and I haven't really followed New Japan since AEW was created because they kind of took most of the good guys away from New Japan around that time. So yeah, I'm kind of in the dark on this one. So of the landscapes.
I will say, Charlton saying like, "Oh, they kind of screwed up like a Will Ospreay." I kind of disagree about Will Ospreay because he's like one of the biggest guys they got there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's consistently putting on great matches. He's getting great reactions from the crowd. You know, he's at least being put in like big marquee spots. I mean, Okada, you know, you could maybe argue like he's not as big as he was in New Japan, but that's kind of to be expected because you're trying to expose him to a different audience, you know, to like compared to Japan where where he was a big star, like he was the big fish in the small pond, but now he's kind of like in a bigger, like almost like in different waters. So it's very difficult for like an Okada, and I think Okada's adapted pretty well there. Now, Jay White, that's a different story. Um, another talent they have not executed well as of now.
Well, yeah, but Jay White, okay, he was still up and coming when I was watching New Japan, so I don't know how far he actually went on the New Japan roster. But yeah, I never really saw him being a huge guy. But Okada was like him and Kenny were like the biggest thing for like those 3 years, 2016, 17, 18. And from what I can tell as an outsider looking in at AEW, he hasn't been used nearly as well in AEW. Where on the roster is he? Is he like mid card or is he main event?
He's like upper mid card guy.
Yeah, he should have been. He should have been made into like a real big deal, like at least like Nakamura was when he was brought into WWE, because he was the big guy in New Japan. I mean, he was even, everybody was fawning all over Kenny Omega, but that dude was higher than Kenny was. Of course, it was Japan, but I just think that they didn't use him or aren't using him as well as they probably should be.
And also to answer your earlier question, Jay White won their world title.
Okay.
A couple years ago. But so like I think Charlton was just kind of a little far off about like how like AEW's treated certain stars, and I do think like I will say like kind of maybe to take some of the things I said back. I do think like some of the things he did say about Tony was a little off base.
I mean, I'll say he's not wrong because I mean, some of the stars at AEW are looking at what's going on with Ethan Van Page, Lexus King, Penta, and some other people who've crossed over to WWE, and they're seeing how they're being used. And you're looking at AEW where there's a lot of talent not being used right now, and it's like they're just going out to match after match, and it's like, is that all we're here for? Us to give you matches? Like, what more can we do? What more can we expand? What more can we do to enhance our credibility and our attention? And just get more recognition. Like, what can we do? And because there's another report out that several AEW stars are frustrated with AEW's with how they're being used and how the management's been using their stars.
Oh sure, like I mean, it just kind of you just see it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the talents right now are very like you could just tell. Like a lot of it, like it's just. I guess the word for it is I feel like it's a situation where I think AEW is overbloated.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand you're not going to be able to use all of your talent, because WWE had the same problem too. But there's a reason why you have shows like you have a Collision. Like, I think where AEW Collision, and like I don't want to get into this tirade because I don't want this everybody to be like, oh, Austin's a tribalist. Oh, Austin doesn't like AEW. No. That's not why what I'm saying here. I'm saying that AEW, I think their biggest issue, and I think WWE suffers the same issue a little bit too, is it's too much. Like, they suffer from too much bloat. Like, they need to start trimming the fat. Like, if you're not using certain talents, like, unless like they have like really, really huge contracts, if I'm Tony, I would say, look, we're gonna let you go. We'll let you go early. You can work wherever you want, but you can't go to WWE for a certain length of time. Like,
and then that could also be one of the reasons why they have attendance problem is, they're trying to stretch things out too much, like scale back to maybe one show or something and scale back the roster if you have to, and maybe people will come back and go to these shows because they're more special. They're not on TV all the time. What do I know? But I just think that it just seems like they got a lot of guys that I from what I hear, they're not using well, and then you see all these reports that they're not really doing very good with their live attendance. So the problem may go hand in hand.
What I think they should do, figure out who your top 20 wrestling stars are, male or female. Ring of Honor, I feel like needs to be more Ring of Honor, kind of make it more your minor leagues, and just really try to be more organized and try to figure out, okay, these are my 20 people I'm going to be behind, and this is what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to pull back Collision because, Collision, no one's watching Collision.
No. Like,
or you can turn Collision into like another branding show and just make it more like, hey, this is like another, like your secondary minor league wrestler, independent wrestling show, name it whatever, and it could be sponsored by AEW because we know it's a parent AEW show, but it could be something more for indie wrestlers or guys you have on the roster. They can do more on that element there.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm gonna say this too before we move on, because there's a couple other points I want to make about this whole New Japan stuff. But I think like I don't want AEW to be like WWE, but honestly, I think AEW should consider something like a brand split. Like, have Dynamite, have Collision, have certain titles on Collision, have certain titles on Dynamite. Like, because if you got all of this stuff to work with, you're not like, it's almost like it's not being used enough.
Uh-huh.
Like, your world champion can appear on both shows, that's fine, but like there's no need to have like 3 mid-card titles. Like, I think that's a little excessive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have your TNT International, and then you have the Continental title. Have have the TNT title be exclusive to your TNT show, which I think is Collision. I think have the if there's 3 titles here, like it's just a lot, and maybe we'll do like a good old Wrasslin episode where we just discuss like how we would fix AEW, because
I agree,
because that's a topic all in itself. I think
it is.
Yeah.
I feel like that'll be a fun topic for the 3 of us to talk about.
Absolutely. And also another episode idea that I'm going to throw out there real quick, how we would fix the Death Rider story, if there's any, because, oh my God, that's, again, that's another topic for another time, I think. But to kind of maybe just come back to the New Japan stuff real quick, I think the thing that really got Chris Charlton is the fact that he was like taking personal shots at Tony Khan.
Yeah.
Like, and Rome's, I think you said it best, is because as a business and you're partnering up with another company, and like one of your employees is taking shots at said company, and if it was definitely not planned, you're making that company look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when one of your marquee shows of the year is a crossover event with that company. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I was surprised Okada wasn't there for the whole crossover event. I think he needed some time off or something.
It's possible. because I know they had their Wrestle. Oh no, that was Wrestle Dynasty. I don't know why I said Wrestle Kingdom earlier because they had both of them like back to back. But it's really weird. Like, why would it almost comes off like very petty? Like, what? Like, did something happen backstage that you're just like really like annoyed about? Like, I don't know what spurred it on. I think realistically, and I know everyone's good. I know all the tribalists are gonna come out here, come in here, and then be like, oh, but like, because they're getting because it's one of the groups are gonna be like, well, I think it went a little too far. Well, no, because from a business standpoint, you can't do that. You just can't. Like,
You're not wrong because this kind of AEW to me is kind of like where WCW was in like 1999, 2000, late 98, where they have so many people they just don't know what to do with any of them because they maxed out all the matches, they maxed out any edges they had, and they have talent all over the place. They just don't know how to use them correctly or can't come up with the best stories to tell these stories to the fans.
yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's just again, it goes back to there's just too much. Like, and they're in like this really like they're like at this stage where like they're just in like this identity crisis. Like, they don't know what they want. Like, they're trying so hard to be an alternative that they've kind of lost the plot a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I think like, and I'm gonna say it, like, the reason why they were so hot from 2019 to I'd say debatably 2022, because like that was when like they were like at their like highest like momentum, is WWE was so bad in terms of quality that we needed that like new breath of fresh air and alternative, and AEW gave us that. Like, they gave us that alternative. You had great stories, you had the great wrestling. It was a great alternative, but it's like lately it's feeling like they don't know from a creative standpoint. Like, I don't want to put words in other people's mouths because I don't know what's going on backstage. I don't work there, but it feels like they just are at a loss of like what to do, when I really feel like they just need to go back to just keeping it simple.
You're not wrong. I feel like when you look back at 2019, Cody Rhodes, again, like, behind the scenes, he was very good at managing things. People bought into what they were trying to do, what AEW was going to be. Yeah, Tony Khan was the guy throwing money, but it was really, I feel like Cody was one of the big brain trust, and this is the direction we want to go with. This is how we want to do things. And then whatever happened between Cody and Tony Khan and something else, it's since he's left, it feels like they just don't have that direction anymore, that leadership there anymore.
It like, I'd even say like when Cody left, it wasn't as bad for a while there, but it felt like after the CM Punk stuff, it just felt like it's almost like they're on like cruise control. Like, they don't know like how to proceed. And a lot of it also too is they're not building the company around the guys that you should be building your company around. Like, you should be building your main event scene around guys like a Hangman, a Swerve, Omega,
I mean,
those
that Swerve and Adam Page rivalry, that should have really got more people into AEW. Like, the amount of stuff the two of them are doing for like a whole year, that should have really got more buzz, more attention. And for whatever reason, they just didn't do a good job selling it. Not the wrestlers, but the AEW themselves didn't do a great job really selling people the story.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about this down the line, because I feel like because again, this all could just be an entire episode, really.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like we'll talk about more about that at a later time. But I do want to switch gears back to WWE real quick. A little bit more of a controversial topic this time around. Saudi Arabia is getting the Royal Rumble in 2026. it was confirmed by WWE themselves a couple weeks ago that Riyadh is getting the Royal Rumble next year. If you want my personal thoughts on it, because I know that this has been a hot topic, right? Because you got a lot of people going, no, this is bad. Like, oh, why would you do that? Am I in that kind of same space? I
feel like
no
this is
no
more. Sorry, Austin. I remember like back in 2023, WWE when they were doing more shows in Saudi, they were making it very clear at that time before they got bought by Endeavor and Ari Emanuel and those people. They were saying they would keep Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam as like United States only. They wouldn't put them international. So I do have I do feel like Saudi and UFC. There's probably a little more going on behind the scenes with that whole stuff because I feel like they had to throw a lot of money at WWE and Endeavor to get the Royal Rumble than what they would normally spend.
Yeah, there probably is. But as far as like, oh, they got the Royal Rumble, it's like at the end of the day, is it that big of a deal? No. I get it. From a business standpoint and with the agreement they have, I get it. The money's there. You'd be stupid as a business standpoint to have this type of contract that they have with them to not try to capitalize on like at least doing a big four pay-per-view. Like it's not like a WrestleMania where it's almost like because I feel like the reaction would be a lot more polarized, I feel like. But with the Royal Rumble, like, and I know people are like, oh, well, they technically got a Royal Rumble a few years ago. No, the greatest Royal Rumble does not count. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear they got a
It
50-man Royal Rumble.
So
should
just
count.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, just to I had to look this up again because I know the most influential person in WWE wrestling and in UFC within Endeavor is Turkey Al-Sheikh, chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment. He's somebody who's very influential in MMA, wrestling, and everything else. So he's been one of the people who's been one of the guys getting WWE, UFC, and all these other things to Saudi Arabia each year. So he's a very big influence. So I don't know how much of a stake he has in Endeavor, as a whole, but I feel like there's got to be something else going on that hasn't been revealed to the public yet with these businesses.
Yeah, there is definitely that influence there. I mean, do you think also maybe too that they're bringing the Royal Rumble to Saudi because they want to give these Saudi shows maybe a little bit more meaning to them? Because like maybe it's just me, but when I watch a lot of the Saudi shows, they don't feel like they're big, but like they feel like big house shows almost.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're not wrong. I mean, that's why they gave these giant titles, when they were last in Saudi Arabia, just to make them feel different. But it still feels, like you say, it feels like a house show. It doesn't feel like any meaning. So they feel like, hey, let's bring the Royal Rumble. Maybe they'll change the feel of things. But I feel like even if you do the Royal Rumble there, it's still going to feel like you're out of your element.
yeah. Because I know they brought the King of the Ring stuff to Saudi. I know that they did the Crown Jewel. I feel like the Crown Jewel thing is just a very experimental thing. Because I get the idea of like, oh, it's your two world champions, your two women's champions. They're gonna wrestle each other for this giant belt and a ring. Okay. Why? Because it's a giant belt
that you don't get to keep.
Yeah, you don't get to keep the belt, which is like I mean, to be fair, at least they kind of were like, it kind of makes more sense. But I feel like it's kind of stupid to have like this match for a giant belt that you don't get to keep it. You get to keep a ring. It's like, huh? Like
I think that. I'm sorry, Austin. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess it makes sense because there's no guarantee that person's gonna be the world champion the following year. So like, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for him to have the other belt. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's just like, why would you even have this big belt then if you're not even gonna, if the guy's not gonna is not gonna like he doesn't have to bring it out on TV. Like, you don't have to do that. But like you could at least just have it like say like, hey, you're gonna be the champion, but like if you're not the champ by next year, then you have to like vacate it or something. Like it's just very goofy. But I get it. Like I understand why they have to do it that way, but it's a little dumb. But again, as far as the Royal Rumble thing, I know I keep coming back to this. It just is it as big of a deal? No, but it's a little like it almost makes you groan a little bit. Like you're like, oh,
I don't really care so much as the last 5 years or so they've been going to a lot of baseball stadiums, and I like the look of the baseball stadiums for the Rumble. So I've
yeah.
got kind of used to it. So this is a little bit. That's the only part of it I'm disappointed in. But I don't think it's a big deal. Of course, it's going to change up the start time. I guess we'll be watching the Rumble at like noon.
Noon on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes, super weird.
Yeah. That'll be weird.
See, a part of me doesn't mind like the afternoon shows on a weekend because that way I can just watch the show and then I can have the rest of the day to do whatever I got to do. But at the same time, it's like, because like, granted, if it was on a Sunday and it was in the afternoon, I would rather, if you're going to do a pay-per-view on Sunday, do it in the afternoon, because if I have to work the following day, I don't want to be staying up late to watch your show. You know what I mean? Like,
now that we're talking about the time difference, I think that's going to minimize the importance, kind of, at least here in the States, because I just don't think there's going to be as many people watching at that time.
yeah.
As normally, I think they should have probably kept WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble at least somewhere here in the States. I mean, they could have gave up SummerSlam, but of course now it's 2 nights, so I don't even think you could do that now. But
No.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. They were they're kind of screwed in that respect. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Saudi probably threw 100 million or something crazy money at them, and they're like, "How can we say no to this?" Those guys are like quadrillionaires over there, so it's like 100 million to them is nothing. So it's it's the whole sing and dance without any questions. I do feel like because Triple H, I think because he's a big sports guy, I think it was his idea to do like a ring for Crown Jewel, like a Super Bowl ring, try and make it like it's a Super Bowl or a main event, like within wrestling. I didn't feel like that would work because just I don't know, not because it's Saudi or anything. It just feels like it just wasn't a good thing wasn't something to work with or go with.
Yeah.
And it just felt too forced. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I am curious. I'm sorry, Austin. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Romes.
I am curious to see where Triple H's future's at, though, because I mean he's been very center of everything the last couple of months. So I mean, which is smart because when anything happens, it's like they're gonna question where's Triple H. I'm not saying he's gonna get fired or anything, but I feel like with the Vince McMahon stuff and God knows what else will come out later on. I'm very curious to see how long he's gonna be with Endeavor and how much power he's really gonna have, especially if The Rock is slowly gonna continue to have some influence.
If The Rock if Rock could use some of his influence to call an audible here and just, main event WrestleMania, I mean, come on, Rock. We know you want to do it. Come on, Rock. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Rock. Come on. Listen, Rock. Listen, it's okay, Rocky. I listen. Rock's like, no. He's like, no. The final boss is very busy. No, listen. You main event wrestle. Listen, just main event WrestleMania with either Roman or Cody, whichever which. Use your power and pull, win the title. You could fuck off to Hollywood for a few months. Like, come on, we know you want to do it. Come on, get some Zoa in your veins. You know,
I got to shoot red 2, jabroni. Red
like,
1 2.
Yeah, give him that. Come on, put on Red 1 in IMAX. Put on Black Adam. Just get that rage flowing. Put some Zoa in your veins. Start slapping your arm really hard. And come on, Rock. Enter the Royal Rumble at 31 and win, man. This is what the people really want to see. John Cena's farewell tour? Nah. CM Punk? Nah. We need the final boss to show everybody who's really in charge, and that's you, Rock. Now the ball's in your court.
Yeah, that's I think the biggest letdown going into the new year is him coming back as the final boss, but as a good guy, not the bad guy, and we're gonna forget everything that happened last year. So,
and then the following night he starts dropping F-bombs out of nowhere, and he's like, "The final boss is 20 steps ahead," and we're all still confused. Like, are you a good guy or are you bad guy? Are you wrestling? Are you not wrestling? Are you insane or is it because of Black Adam and Red 1? We don't know.
I call it the Hulk Hogan syndrome.
This poor man just going. He's just having a mental breakdown as we speak.
Yeah.
My God, get well soon, Rock. Please, we're all praying for you here. We're all praying for you to get over your midlife crisis.
So, what you guys think of Raw last week? I thought it was a little bit better, especially with a 2 hour and 30-minute timeline. 2 hours and 30-minute runtime this time.
You know what? I will say more 2.5 hour Raws, please.
I thought it was. I didn't enjoy it quite as much because there was a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of like 15-minute promos in the ring. And I've never been ever since they started doing that in like the late Attitude Era. I zone out. So that's something because they didn't do that back in my time in the golden age of WWF. But I think there was just a little bit too much talking. But the matches were pretty good. I like the Penta. His debut was good. The Intercontinental title match for the women was okay. I think they crowned the wrong person. I think I think Dakota is long overdue for a belt, and I don't get Lyra Valkyrie why she's getting pushed so hard. I don't know, but it was a pretty good show. Yeah, I had a little bit of trouble though because I had to leave during the street fight, right? And I have ad tier at Netflix, so that adds a little bit of a 1 minute ad break to whatever I'm watching. And like I said, I dipped out before the street fight and then returned. And when I hit live, because it was like 30 some minutes or like 25 minutes before the 11 o'clock hour, and I said they got to still be going. When I hit live, the show was ending, and I was like, oh crap, they ended way early. So I tried to rewind back to the front, the first of that match, and it took me 2 attempts of going back to the start, which triggered 2 3-minute ad breaks on top of that 1 minute ad break that I had. So I had to sit through 7 minutes of ad breaks. And then when I finally got to the start of the match, I had to watch the 3-minute ad break that was in the middle of the match again that you can't fast forward. So that was like, 12, 15 minutes worth of ads that I had to sit through. Yeah, that was bad. So Raw isn't war, it's ads.
Raw is ads.
Yeah. I mean, like the Netflix ad tier portion isn't bad. It's only like a minute long. Like that's just two, 3 ads right there. But you cannot fast forward those mandatory ad breaks that are in the show, even if you've already watched it or up to that point. From what I'm seeing, you have to sit through those ads again, and that sucks.
Indeed, yeah.
Oh, 100%. And I also because we still have a couple other news topics to go over. I figured, you know what? Let's get some more controversy out of the way. It seems like Corey Graves is in hot water.
Well, is he, or is it a work?
We don't know, and that's what we're going to talk about.
I swear towards the end of last year or sometime in October, I read a report that he was cleared to wrestle again, and it was immediately yanked. Nobody talked about it after that. The first initial report came out, and I think it may be a work. He may be coming back to wrestle, and it may be NXT. So
Yeah, because apparently, because he was on the main roster, he was doing commentary work there for a little bit, and then he was asked to go down to NXT and basically help do commentary there, and he got supposedly he got upset. From
I would be too if it was real. If it's a real situation,
yeah.
I definitely would.
And then he went on Twitter and he basically voiced his displeasure about what happened, and apparently said he was going to be on NXT and he's got a lot to say, and he was not on the show. So this is where it starts to become okay, is it a work? Is it not a work? Because on the surface right now, it's looking like it's not a work. And if it's not a work, I get why Corey Graves is upset. I mean, he did commentary at NXT in the start, and then once he got moved up to the main roster, and he was doing fine there for a while, and then I don't know, it's this past year they were starting to kind of phase him out of commentary a little bit.
Were they just trying to have, since he put in so much good work, it seemed like they were trying to get him to be the second guy that could anchor a show away from Michael Cole. And this is something that really ticks me off. If this is real, it just shows you what a piece of crap Michael Cole is, to where you would think that he would stand up for Corey in this situation if it is real. And he should have enough stroke to where, if he says, "Hey, I would step down unless you don't give Corey his due." I mean, he should go to bat for somebody like Corey Graves, because he's the best number 2 guy that they've had that could be a number 1 guy on the mic in years. And I just, him not stepping up. Of course, we don't know what's going behind the scenes, but
yeah.
I we don't know what's going on, and that's crazy. But I just think Michael Cole in a situation like that should have stepped up, if this is real, and went to bat for Corey. But a lot of people were giving Corey crap for going back to NXT and acting like he resented being there, saying that shows the company, it's disrespect to all the people there and the up and comers. And I'm like, no, that's not it at all. That what it is it's sending a message to the NXT people. No matter how far you rise up in the roster, no matter how good you get, if somebody doesn't like you or whatever, no matter how much hard work you put in, they'll kick you right back down to the minors, and you'll be stuck down there. I mean, it's what they're doing, if it's real, is disrespectful to the NXT. Locker room. So
it'd be one thing, I'm pretty sure, if they were like, hey, Booker, is going on he's got to do something for House of Glory, or he's got to do something for Reality of Wrestling for next couple weeks. Can you take over on commentary for 2 weeks? I'm pretty sure he would have been like, okay, whatever, not a big deal. But if you're asking him to move right back down to NXT, I think that I agree with you. It's kind of shitty. I understand you want to keep Wade Barrett up on SmackDown. You want to keep the new guy they brought in,
He's so bad. He's
last
so
year.
terrible. Joe Tessitore, he's like some football guy. I guess he's on College Football Game Day or something. I don't know. They say he's some big sports guy. I just don't. I hate when they bring in sportscasters like this and that guy that was Mike Adamle. They don't fit. They don't work. We don't care. Most wrestling fans do not care where you know if you're some sports guy, some football guy. We don't care. We want the guys that we're used to, that we've listened to for years and years. Corey deserved that spot over Tessitore, and I like Wade Barrett, but my God, he is very hard to listen to when they're feeding him all those overly scripted lines. That's one of the main problems with WWE's commentary is they script their shit way too much, and it's hard to listen to. I tell you what, I listened to Jesse Ventura when they let him on the main event match on Saturday Night's Main Event a couple weeks back, where he was just ad-libbing lines and he was playing the heel role. It was such a breath of fresh air. It reminded me of the old school commentary days from back in the day. It was so great. It was nothing scripted about it at all. But they'll never do it. They'll never go back to a free form of commentary.
They're very strict. I'd say less strict now that Vince isn't there, but there's probably still some restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, look, WWE to me for a long time, since the whole NXT, everything they've done for like the last 15 years now, since 2010, everything's now more like their way or the highway. Everything's scripted, choreographed. There's only maybe 3 or 4, 5 people can do what they want now in WWE. That could be John Cena, CM Punk, The Rock, Randy Orton. Just people who've been there for so long, they can just get away with stuff, and the rest, it's just kind of you have to follow their rules. But
it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I could also understand like maybe they don't want to do 3-man booths, but if you're going to do a 3-man booth on NXT, what stop you from at least having Corey be a 3rd man on SmackDown or Raw? Like, I don't understand where this disconnect backstage is happening. Like, if it's a work and Corey's going to come back to wrestling, great. But if it's not, I think it's kind of, and I agree with you, Shifty, it's just kind of shitty. I feel like that's the way you could describe it, is it's very shitty if this is not a work. If it's a work, then I want to see how this plays out. But,
and then you also got to consider how this is going to affect Carmella if she comes back. Because if this is real, she's going to be pissed off, and that's a bad deal. Here, what they should do is if this is real, they should have put Corey with Tessitore and get Wade and make him as a manager or something to where he can still be around and talking and stuff. I think he would fit way better as a manager or something.
Maybe do like a stable or something and have Wade be like the mouthpiece, have him talk, or it's just, I feel like there's just better ways to go about it than the way they're doing it right now. If you're going to keep Tessitore there for the long haul, let Corey go in there, teach him the ropes a little bit, get some of that, get some experience in him, let him work with the guy like Tessitore. Let's see how that goes. Or again, just do a 3-man booth. If worse comes to worse, you got to do a 3-man booth. Granted, I personally don't really care for 3-man commentary teams, but if you have to do it, fine. But again, I don't want to draw on the subject too much, because if it is a work, then I don't want to draw too much into it. But
I don't think it's a work. I just think that they tried everything with Corey. He's just not a big personality. I think it's more Triple H's decision than anyone else. Again, he brought the guy from ESPN because he wants to make him feel like a sports event than an entertainment event. So I do feel like that's more Triple H trying to really make some changes. And they've tried a lot of things with Corey over the years. he's just never really been that person that has a big personality that had more people interested in what he had to say or what he had to do. I mean, look at Pat McAfee. They brought him back as a big personality. He gels well with Michael Cole, and that's working pretty well on Monday Night Raw. It's
But
just Corey.
Is he there for the long haul though? Because every time Pat is supposedly brought back, he leaves again. So, how long is that going to last? And they said next week JBL is going to show up. What's he going to do? Is he going to do like an in-ring segment, or is he going to be on the commentary desk filling in for McAfee? Things are weird right now.
Yeah, I just think Triple H is looking for big personalities to really for the whole broadcaster thing. But we'll see what happens. I just don't know what they're going to do. I just think Corey's kind of on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and now maybe there's also some other things that are kind of leading us to maybe it's not work, because apparently there are rumors, like apparently there's like a lot of mixed reactions backstage apparently, because like there's some that are saying that it's just Corey trying to get fired. There's another portion that's saying it's just Corey trying to like kind of like make an impact almost, but again we don't know.
I think you might be right. It might be an impact, because look what happened with Samantha. Look what's going on with the internet, social media is where you can make your big impact stuff. That's how MVP got his heart thing going in AEW. Samantha leaving WWE and then saying something about WWE, and I feel that's where everybody's at right now, where they want to make a big impact and thinking that that's going to get a trend or something to get behind. And most of the time, it just doesn't work.
Well, it didn't work in the past for Corey because he got on there when he was drunk a few times, and that caused him some issues. I remember that one time where he got on there and he started trying to pick a fight with CM Punk or something. He kept on writing tweets to Punk, and Punk wasn't even in the conversation with him, but he started talking about, I was once a friend with you, and now you won't talk to me. And it's like, what are you doing, Corey?
Going crazy.
Yeah.
So we do have one more new piece of news, and then we'll call it here because we're over the hour. WWE and TNA are a fit partnership. Like it's not like going to be like. Apparently, it's not going to be like just like an NXT thing, because they kind of did a little thing with NXT. They crossed over a little bit. Apparently they signed on for at least a lengthy term partnership. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, because I find this to be very interesting, because I'd say, especially with everything that happened in NXT, like TNA is in a bit of a better spot than they were years ago.
Yeah. The main thing about this being weird is, I don't know, does New Japan still follow TNA on Access TV on Thursday nights?
I don't know.
It used to come on right after, and that's going to be really weird if that's still going on, because they're crossing over for AEW stars, and then you got TNA crossing over with WWE stars, and they're airing back to back. So I don't know if that's still going on, but that would be super weird if that's the case.
It might be, but I will say this. I think realistically, this could be beneficial to both sides. And I've heard people say, oh, WWE is going to poach their talent. Well, yeah, no shit. But I think this will give TNA a lot more exposure, and this is going to help them out too.
Yeah, of course. They'll ship down people that's not getting used on WWE. I mean, if Baron Corbin was still with the company, I could see him being shipped down or something to get new life in, a new wrestling organization. But yeah, it'll benefit both companies.
Yeah. I mean, WWE can use their talent, and and TNA's talent can go, they can cross over whenever. And I think realistically, TNA will probably benefit more, because WWE is going to be able to use their talent. But I think just the fact that TNA is partnering with WWE and getting that exposure,
Yeah.
I think long term, like I know people are going to say, oh, but it'll harm them. I think realistically, I think TNA is going to do nothing but benefit from it.
Yeah. And
Um,
this may get some of their video content over on Peacock or something, some of their former pay-per-views and
oh, it's possible.
whatever.
Yeah.
But of course, a lot of that stuff is like available 24/7 on what's buried deep on Pluto. If you have Pluto, and well, everybody's got
Yeah,
Pluto.
I have that too. It's if you can find it on Amazon Prime from Pluto or wherever, you'll get a 24-hour TNA thing. Yeah, I watch it here and there. It's nice to go back and see some of the old stuff they did back in like 2009, 2008. You know, the
Yeah.
Mafia, Kurt Angle. I mean, some of the best Kurt Angle stuff is through TNA, especially his matches. So it's like I always go back and watch that for mainly for Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, some of the Sting stuff, the Joker Sting, the Booker T stuff.
Yep.
There's so many really stuff that I really appreciate now than I did when that was still happening back then.
Yeah.
Yep. They got that, and they got the AAA channel on Pluto. But they may put some of the more high profile history making events from TNA's past or recent history on like at Netflix or Peacock now. So
like with this WWE and TNA partnership, I think there would be a very big missed opportunity here because AJ Styles is his career slowing down. I think it would be a missed opportunity if TNA and WWE couldn't work something out where AJ could have at least like one more match in TNA before he retires.
I think they will. I'm sure there's talks about it quietly and trying to figure out what that's going to be.
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer if they don't do it.
Yeah, because like I know AJ's still hurt right now, but I feel like it would. I still feel like it, and I like at least like let AJ work somebody that like will probably benefit from working with him. But also like letting AJ work one more match in a company that he was a big pioneer in, the face of said company.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, you got a lot of guys that you could do. I mean, I did Robert Roode. Is he totally done?
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, he's completely done.
Okay. Well, you still got what's home dude? LA Knight. He could do it. He was in TNA for a while. So
he did, but I know his time at the end. He just doesn't want to remember it.
Yeah, he's come out and said he hated his time there because he stated when he was the world champion there, he felt like he was being treated like second fiddle pretty much.
Yeah, there's a good podcast interview he did with Stone Cold Steve Austin back in like 2019 or somewhere around those lines where he talked about his time in TNA and because he was a free agent at that time and he talked about like how things ended there and he had some really good stuff. You want to see some of his good promos in TNA. I mean, he had some great stuff over there with his promos, like the champion shoes when he was completely shit faced and he kept stuttering his lines, but it was so good. I mean, some of the dummy stuff he did and some of the stuff he did with Scott Steiner when they were tag team partners for a while. So he's had some good stuff. I just know that he doesn't want to talk about his TNA run because, because I guess I think it was Jeff Jarrett or whoever bought it, while he was champion, I think buried him right after.
Yikes.
Because they favored EC3 over him and some other people.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was not a good time to be a TNA fan around that time.
Yeah.
And
now, Austin, just my thoughts on WWE and TNA. This partnership, I'm happy for TNA. I think that TNA has over the year they have really got a good rub from WWE's brand and global, just a global recognition a little bit. So I'm really happy for TNA. This kind of reminds me of like, I'm sure you heard the stories of WWF and ECW back in the day with a quiet partnership. This kind of reminds me of like the open. This kind of reminds me of the opposite. It's like the open partnership. We're not hiding anything, type thing. Because WWF, even Vince admitted, like, yeah, we took talent from them all the time. We paid Paul Heyman. If we wanted this person, we got them. He didn't hide anything back. He said, yeah, we took stuff from ECW.
but Rome, I will also say too, it also goes to show like how different this regime under Triple H is different under Vince, because
Right, absolutely.
if Vince was still running the ship, Vince would be like, who the fuck is TNA? What the
Well, no, because Vince, like I said last week, when they were first starting out, there was a Bite This episode where Vince was on, and that was right around the time that TNA was starting their Wednesday night weekly pay-per-views for $10. And he said, I can't wait to see that and see how they pull that off, because nobody's ever done that before. Like he said, I don't want them to fail. He said, I like it to see when other companies try something new and inventive. He said, but I don't see how that's going to be feasible. $10 every week and try to build an audience like that. He didn't know how they were going to pull that off, but he said he was really interested in seeing what they did with those early pay-per-views.
Yeah.
That's true too. But it really goes to show like Vince would not have been willing to partner with TNA like as willingly.
Oh no, he's cutthroat.
They did for a bit for Angle when he came in, so they could get footage and stuff for his Hall of Fame package, and vice versa. They worked a little bit in the past,
but that was like more like small scale stuff.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if this is going to lead the doors to maybe TNA piggybacking off of WWE's 2K license, to where they get like a DLC pack, or maybe have some TNA figures on the WWE line, or something.
It might be something like that. I could see something with like a downloadable TNA, content if you want to play Jordan Grace and some of their other top stars in WWE 2K25, whatever they do next. There's a lot of great potential for TNA. I just hope what I hope the WWE does is let TNA be TNA. Don't take all the titles, put them on NXT, keep them at TNA. Don't do what AEW's been doing with how they just kind of squash Ring of Honor, and nothing really means of Ring of Honor anymore. Because I liked Ring of Honor back in the day, and it's like just seeing that it's just name only with people running around with belts that doesn't really need them.
Yeah.
I know Shifty, you brought up like, oh, sometime could go to Ring of Honor. Honestly, going to Ring of Honor at this point might as well be a worse fate than death. Because, my God, and I'm not trying to discredit what Tony Khan tried to do with Ring of Honor, because I respect him for the fact, like, because I know he's a big Ring of Honor fan too, and I'm pretty sure he bought it because he didn't want ROH to be like just a tape library. Like, he wanted to bring it back, but the problem is, and I know we're getting sidetracked again, but Ring of Honor's problem right now, it has no identity. It feels like it's like they're in, again, Ring of Honor's in a worse state than AEW is, because like they don't know where to go, because like they're primarily airing their stuff on Honor Club, which nobody's really watching. They're not advertising their pay-per-views, and then of course, worst of all, they have the Ring of Honor World Championship on fucking Chris Jericho in 2025.
Do they still have a television show on the weekends? Because back when I was watching Ring of Honor, they were owned by Sinclair Networks, and they would air that show like Friday night in the morning, and then they'd air it again on Saturday twice on Saturdays, and then Sunday morning, like all across the weekend. It would be on like 5 times every week.
Last time I checked, I don't think they do.
Okay, because I don't actually tune into TV late at night anymore.
I just thought Tony Khan took a giant shit at Ring of Honor, and it's just name only with belts. Like, I just missed the day where they were kind of like their own thing, and they're whoever they were owned by, at least they were like their own thing, where you feel you're watching something different or another option of wrestling during the week. Now it's just like it's too AEW than it is Ring of Honor anymore.
Yeah.
Like Ring of Honor used to find some really good guys coming out. AJ Styles, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, just young upcoming wrestlers that you just were like, couldn't wait to see what they're going to do next as they developed. I mean, that's what Ring of Honor reminded me of back in the day. Now it's just, name only.
Yeah.
Speaking of Samoa Joe, apparently Samoa Joe came back on Dynamite this past week. I wasn't able to watch Dynamite because my internet was kind of crap in the bed there, But if that's true, can Samoa Joe just do what he did with the MJF thing and just call an audible and have Joe beat Mox for the belt, please? No more Death Rider stuff. Call an audible. I'll call the audible. Just I know Cope's gonna be the next one to face Mox, but no, can we just get Joe just have him win the belt, please? Like, for the love of God, just anything but Death Riders. But anyway, continuing on this WWE TNA stuff, like I feel like especially with like some of the TNA talent, like especially former WWE talent like Nick Nemeth and the Hardy Boys are there. Like, do you guys think it could be possible that we'll see like maybe surprise appearances from them to like almost be like not like Easter egg appearances, but like surprise appearances and be like, oh guys, remember Dolph Ziggler? Well, he's a TNA World Champion right now. And everyone goes, what the fuck? Wait, what the fuck? Dolph Ziggler? Wait, what? Dolph Ziggler, a world champ? What is going on here? And then everybody. And then they'll be like, well, if you want to see Dolph Ziggler as a world champion, you better go see TNA Impact on Thursdays. And everyone goes, what is going what? Dolph? And then everyone's still kind of flabbergasted. Like, Dolph Ziggler? Like, because everyone's going to be like, well, wait a minute. He's the one. Dolph Ziggler? Like, and, and I know the Hardys have, what's up?
Is Falaba and Vikingo still over at TNA?
I know Vikingo I think he's in AAA right now.
Okay.
As far as Falaba, I don't.
He was the heavy set Samoan guy.
Let's.
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah. Okay. He is not in Impact.
Oh. Because those were two of the guys I was impressed with when I was checking out TNA a couple years ago, and I was like, hey, they should come over to WWE. But if you're not related to the bloodline, I don't know if he would fit in well. But
yeah, it seems like he left TNA in 2022.
Okay. Yeah, he was a pretty neat wrestler. Falaba.
Yeah, he's got a very unique look to him. But I mean, Jordan Grace is more than likely going to be heading to WWE herself here soon. So
yeah, and that's the interesting situation there, because she's probably going to be dropping the title to Tessa Blanchard, who's very controversial. And how is she going to work out with the WWE? Are they going to avoid using her, or
So they already had Jordan Grace drop the belt to.
They did.
Yeah, she dropped the belt to Masha Slamovich.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually talked to her a few times on Twitter. Yeah, she's cool.
And then so she is feuding with Tessa Blanchard, and more than likely they're gonna have Jordan Grace lose to Tessa Blanchard on the way out, which I just think honestly that's just kind of. I mean, Tessa Blanchard, like, she's very, very controversial.
Oh yeah,
and let's face it, TNA is losing a big talent in Jordan Grace.
Yeah,
like when you talk about like company individual, like she is probably she was there for a while there.
Yeah, she's comparatively, she's even bigger to that company than Rhea Ripley is to WWE. She carried that company on her back. I mean, because she was like the only person you would hear about on the TNA roster for a while. It's like it's all Jordan Grace, Jordan Grace, Jordan Grace.
She has like a great look to her.
Yeah.
Like she is somebody that you like if you need somebody to be like the counter to Rhea Ripley and like make a big star, I think Jordan Grace is the one to do so with. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get like something with her and Bianca or her versus Rhea in the near future. Cause
it's just it was just the last year where we had Bianca and Jordan try and outdo each other in the Royal Rumble, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we can expect something happening this year. I mean, she may win the Rumble, but of course you got Charlotte and a couple others coming back. So I would rather see Jordan win it than Charlotte or Becky at this point.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting. Now, do you think that the Hardy Boys are gonna make an appearance as well, seeing as how they've also been clamoring for at least one more run in WWE before?
I think it all depends on if Jeff can keep his nose clean.
Yeah,
He's he's the only thing holding him back.
I mean, so far so good. I mean, nothing new has come out about him, so I mean, at least it's promising so far.
I read just today or yesterday where he said that he thinks that he could have another big time feud with CM Punk. I don't know if that is something that's in the cards because I mean, I don't think CM Punk. I don't know the way he's been injured a lot over the last few years. I don't know. I mean, you really got to weigh the odds of who you're going to put up against Punk because I don't think he has too many years left. So
No.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on how dependable Jeff shows that he can be.
Yeah, and especially like right now, like no disrespect to anybody involved, but like a Punk and Jeff Hardy feud at this stage,
Yeah.
I don't know if it would potentially work that well because, like,
And
let's face it,
who's Jeff getting the rub to? I mean, you would want to put Jeff against an up and comer.
yeah. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would understand. Like, okay, it's like a hey, it's like a cool nostalgia thing. Like, hey, look, Jeff Hardy, CM Punk, they haven't wrestled each other in a long time. Like, fuck it, why not? I would understand. Like, if it was like a one-off thing, I'd say okay, that's kind of cool. But to try and do like a long-term program, especially in 2025, I'm just like, like
Jeff Hardy should have retired a long time ago. The guy has nothing left.
yeah. Like I part of me respects the hustle. Like it's not as bad as Chris Jericho is in 2025. Like, but at a certain point, it's like it almost feels like there's now a glass ceiling on them where like they can only go so far now.
I just question, where did all their money go? Did it go to alimony? Did you lose it through stupid stuff? Like, because right now I feel like they're just doing this because they just need that last extra buck or whatever it is before they call it a day.
They bought way too many dilapidated boats.
They bought too many Vanguard ones.
Oh God, is it? Yeah, that's what was over New Jersey.
Oh my God. Broken Matt Hardy sending out an army of Vanguard ones.
That's too funny.
Dude, that would be such a fucking plot twist if it was like, oh my God, why are there drones in New York? And then it's just Matt Hardy going, hey guys, sorry, we're doing a storyline right now. Don't be alarmed. It's fine.
So like, what version of Matt Hardy are we on right now? Is he regular Matt or is he like delete or is what is he doing right now?
He's regular Matt right now. He's just teaming up with Jeff and TNA.
Oh, okay.
They're the tag team champions of TNA again, which I just think it's really funny because like a few years ago, like they had like this big falling out with TNA, and then like a few years later they're back and they're already the tag champs, and it just makes you go, huh, well, shit happens.
Did they ever go to AEW?
Yes.
Okay. Did they ever wrestle Cope and Christian?
No.
Well, it seems okay.
Because Cope came in like way after
the
Hardys left. I mean, I think Matt and Christian had a couple matches like together, but they were like only there's like only a couple because like Jeff came in like I think at like in 2020. I'm trying to think because like there was that big like thing that happened in 21, and then Jeff got released, and then Jeff came in 2022, and he and Matt were teaming with each other, and like they faced the Young Bucks, and apparently they were gonna win the tag belts, but then some more Jeff stuff happened, so then that kind of was on the back burner for a while.
Jeff stuff.
And then Jeff came back, and then I think somebody got injured, and Jeff was supposed to go on a singles run, but then he got hurt, and then they kind of just did nothing, and then they left. So now they're back in TNA, and they're the tag champs right now.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, there's a lot that can work here.
Oh yeah.
With the TNA WWE partnership. But with that being said, we're about an hour and a half in. I think it's about time we wrap it up here. Very, very good show tonight, guys. We will be back next Friday to discuss some more potentially more news, or we'll probably if there's no like big news going on, then we'll probably do like we'll do like a topic or something.
I would like that idea of doing a topic about like, how to fix AEW. That would be a great topic for the three of us to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that'll be in the cards. But with that being said, I'm gonna let everybody go around the panel, let them know where they can find themselves at. We'll start with Shifty on the bottom. Where can they find you at, sir?
You can find me on X. That's at Shiftygism. That's Shifty GISM. I talk about all sorts of stuff, wrestling and movies, and a lot of action figure stuff. And you can occasionally find me late night or early in the morning streaming on YouTube. I got a Dead Island series I've been going at, House Flipper. I need to start up God of War, Ragnarok at some point, but yeah, that's about it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Rome's, where can they find you at?
They can find me at the Cool Kids Review tomorrow night. We're going to be doing our most anticipated movies of 2025, and you can also find me on Sundays on Storms Nation, and then sometime during the week I do my own channel, talk about movies, TV shows. Could be DC stuff, could be Marvel stuff, could be horror movies. You never know. That channel is called Rome's on YouTube.
Stuff. Awesome. And you can find me on my channel. Tomorrow I'm going live again, but this time me and Angry Cares are reuniting for the first time in 2 years, and we're going to be discussing The Matrix Revolutions.
Oh.
I know, about 2 years in the making here.
Good luck.
Yeah, we saw the movie, and well, you're just gonna have to wait to see here what my thoughts are, because I got some thoughts. Other than that,
just a side topic. I remember when Revolution was coming out, and the hype for that movie, despite Reloaded, people really were like want to know how this whole thing was going to end, and
yeah, it was
time.
It was something, I'll tell you that much.
Reloaded.
Reloaded.
Man, people were hyped for that, but then I think, man, I've never seen an audience so dead silent during a movie that should have got them hype. It was crazy. The only thing that I think made it worth paying to go see it that opening night was there was this dude from New York and his wife sitting up top next to us, and he had a real thick New York accent, and he was complaining about the price of gummy bears because he said, "Oh my God, you got this big fucking box they sell you for like $5, and then when you open up the box, it's just a little bag of gummy bears. It's just a little bag in that big fucking box." And then he kept on ranting about it all the way through the movie, and then about 2/3 through, I think it was finally during the big highway battle sequence. He's like,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, my wife's water just broke. I'll see you guys later." And he dragged her out.
Wait, dude, whoa!
Yeah,
That's wild.
Oh my
yeah.
god, the
So
fucking anime plot twist of the century right there.
that was
Holy shit!
It was shifty. I remember when Reloaded was on the verge of coming out, especially after The Matrix came out back in '99. I mean, people were so influenced by that movie, the first one. Then when the second one was
Yeah.
on its way coming out, like the hype train for those movies, especially Reloaded, was just unreal.
Yeah, and when you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, 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 and then you get to like the big rave sequence that's
Mhm.
intertwined with sex, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Austin, people
What?
were expecting Reloaded to be like the second coming of like The Empire Strikes Back because that's how impactful The Matrix, the first one, was in '99. It was like that, like Star Wars was for A New Hope.
Oh, I believe it. Like,
Yeah.
and and this is even coming as somebody who didn't mind the second Matrix movie. Like, I didn't like. I'm not like in love with it, but I was like, okay, this is cool, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I like Animatrix better. And I think the first Matrix is like classic.
Oh, it is. It's a master, in my opinion, one of the modern day masterpiece filmmakings in history. Like, it's just,
Oh yeah.
it's just, you know, it was something no one ever saw when that movie hit.
Oh
The
yeah,
same way like
that,
Star Wars came out in like the '70s, and and other movies came out in the '80s. It just hit you and inspired you. But
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. How old are you, Rose?
I'm 37. 37.
Okay, I'm 45, and Austin, how old are you?
22.
22. So we have a big range of ages. I think it'd be fun if we did something like where we talk about wrestling or movies, and you ask us what it was like when we were around for when a movie opened, like how big it was
Yeah.
and how, and then we could tell you about it, or I mean, because things were a lot different back then, and I think a lot of people, especially a lot of younger kids today, they don't understand how important like certain movies or releases or TV shows were. I mean, I was watching, not to drag the show on, but I was watching Lunga and the guys over at his podcast. They do a Star Wars show, and Goldman's on there, and they were getting in a fight on Twitter, or it was on their stream, and Goldman could not get it in his head that people actually watch TV shows and rewatch them and love the TV shows and back in the day. He was like, well, what good shows were they before like this year, like before 2000 that people watched over and over and over? They were all like, what? What are you talking about? So there's a real disconnect. The internet has totally screwed up and changed the landscape for a lot of people to where they don't understand how certain things were and how important they were.
Oh yeah, no,
Mhm.
absolutely. Like I'm always curious about like hearing stuff like that because the Matrix was like way before my time at least.
Austin, back at that time, like internet was around, but there was no social media. So a lot of
Yeah.
people, when they saw a bad movie or a movie that they were excited for and it sucked, like they would call in a lot of these radio shows that were so big back in the day just to express how angry and upset they were that, whether it's a Star Wars movie or a Matrix movie or just something that they were really hyped for. A Batman and Robin, I think as a kid, I remember how pissed off we were. If you were listening to the radio and people would call about what they thought about that movie, and just, yeah, it was such a different time back then.
And then magazines, they had a lot more power in their critics back then because there was no internet. So what they said, they could they were like, "Oh brother, where art thou?" I think that's a pretty decent movie, but Entertainment Weekly gave that an F. So a lot of people thought that movie sucked. There's a lot of movies that Rolling Stone or Entertainment Weekly or these shows, or Ebert and Roper, or Ebert and Cisco and Ebert, they would trash it, and people would think, okay, those are bad, nobody else likes them. But no, there was no internet to balance things out back then. So it's crazy how there's a disconnect sometimes when you go look at that stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I didn't mean to drag the show out like that, but I think we could
No,
have
no.
a whole
No, same
nother,
here.
we could have like a whole nother series of shows just talking about through the years how things have changed and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually a really good idea, actually.
Yeah, I mean you could do it for wrestling or anything.
Oh yeah. So I'll put that on the back burner. I'll see. I'll see what we'll do, what we can do there.
Yeah, hand that to your secretary and let her file that away in the ideas folder.
Yeah. I will do that. You can also find me on Wednesdays on the Hangout and on Storm's Nation on Sundays. I don't think Rob's doing one this week.
Bills are playing.
Yeah, Bills are playing, so it's more than likely he's not going to be doing a show.
He's in the zone with his Buffalo right now.
Yeah. So, but other than that, though, guys, that will about do it. And then we'll see you next week for another episode of Good Old Wrasslin'. Until then, this is the Osnator signing out.
Later.
Later.
Peace.
That's awesome.